Hey, welcome back. I'm G, and this is G on Watt. So I got asked a question the other day, and it's not the first time I've been asked it. And these are by readers, but they asked me, "How did you get into the Wheel of Time?" Because it's 14 books. It looks really daunting. It's these huge, huge, massive books, and I started when it started. Book three was coming out the next day, and I saw my buddy reading it and he said, here's a copy of the first book. Just read it, and I'm going to get it tomorrow. And why don't you come down? And I think I read about half the book that night. I didn't sleep one wink. I just read straight through till morning. Morning came around. We went straight to the bookstore, and I bought one, two, and three all in hardback right then and there. And I've bought probably 24 copies of Eye of the World now and giving them out as friends. Um, Now, the show is just starting, so a lot of these people that haven't read it are checking out the show. And I do want to state that a show is never the books. And I'm sure you've heard or seen a lot of the debate online from the readers and the purists and all that. I really like the show for the show. And I really love the books for the books. Now, what got me into them was, I was an avid reader, growing up, and I loved the Lord of the Rings. I thought it was so great, and I loved Narnia. I thought they were wonderful, and but I wanted something bigger, more. And I read a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons books, the Dragonlance, and Raymond Feast, and I tried reading these, but a lot of the authors just seemed, I don't want to say juvenile, but I don't know, young adult maybe. And then I came across Robert Jordan, and holy cow, just the first few chapters just grabbed me. The prologue alone, I was a little confused, but I got finished with it, and I was just like, wow, okay, let's see what happens. And if you're curious about it, I definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, I recommend it. You'll enjoy the first book. The first book very much parallels the Lord of the Rings, or Fellowship of the Ring, I should say. And so Robert Jordan took a book to sort of settle you into the world in a sort of familiar pace that in sort of a familiar tale that in the first book. And then in the second book, he sort of leads you away from that and starts bringing you more into his world. And then by the third book, you're just fully engulfed in this fully realized world with massive amounts of cultures, very realized magic system, probably the most realized magic system that I've ever seen. It's incredible. And I really hope the show delves deeply into it. And if you're interested in it, I'd be happy to do a nice explanation, sort of a simplified explanation in another video, of the difference in the magics. There's a male side and a female side, Sayadin and Saidar. The male side is tainted by the black one, so men eventually go crazy. But there's all these different, very realized methods of channeling, or cast is what casting a spell, or it would be called channeling. And they're channeling these weaves of different elements. And it's really fantastic the way it's described in the book. And Robert Jordan goes over it and over it and over it many times throughout the arc of the series. And his world is so genuinely detailed. By the time you finish that series, all the characters that you meet throughout the way, the good, the bad, the ugly, the character arcs is probably the one main thing. Like, if you like character development, character arcs, incredibly strong characters, incredibly well thought characters. They're all drastically different. And in the show, we get to see it, but in the books, they have these amazing inner monologues that you get to be a part of, and you get to see on page. And so you get to really delve into who these guys are. And by the end of this book, I mean, these are people you know. You cry when they're killed. You cheer when they win. And there are some epic moments throughout this entire series. And it's 14 books long. This tale is a roller coaster of adventure, emotion, political intrigue. Like if you were a fan of Game of Thrones because of the political maneuvering that went on, sit back and relax. The Game of Thrones has nothing on the Aes Sedai. Holy cow. And then wait till you start meeting other cultures and how they interact. And every single one of these cultures is fantastically realized and just brilliant and unique. And you'll find traits of each of these cultures from different cultures around the world, but not any one of them is based on any one culture. And it's just so fantastic. And again, the characters that go through these arcs are some of my favorite characters ever put to page through literature, through movies, ever. And that's why there's so many fans that are so excited that this is finally a TV show. And if you are just a fan of the show and you haven't gotten into the books and you're curious about it, instead of diving into a big, thick tome, check out the audiobooks by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. They do fantastic job. And I'm pretty sure Eye of the World is in its entirety throughout YouTube. I'm certain of it. I don't know about the rest of the series, but I'm pretty sure Eye of the World is free listen for you. And take a listen to it. And if you're watching the show, you'll see these big, huge changes that were made. Now, I don't. My personal opinion for the show is I'm here for the ride. I left the books on the shelf. They're right there. Right there. There's all my Wheel of Time. My other hardcovers are in the States because I live in the Caribbean. And when I moved down here, I didn't want to bring them down. So I got all the hardcovers that were put out in first edition since I lived here. My others are back home, but those paperbacks are well worn. I've been through the series. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm just a glutton for punishment, but every time a new book came out, I read all the previous books up to that one before it came out. And then since Memory of Light's come out, I've given it like 5 full read-throughs, like during the COVID. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube, whatever. The pandemic, when that came out and everybody went on lockdown, man, I went through a copy of Eye of the World. I gave away my last copy, and I got another copy from Amazon, and I went through that, and then I got about 3/4 of the way through that. Somebody saw it, and I said, okay, here, just take this. And I gave it to him again, and then I just went on from Great Hunt. But I read through the entire series again, including New Spring, and I've given it 3 listens in its entirety through the audiobooks. I listen to it while I'm at work, while I'm just doing mindless stuff. It's just nice to hear the narration. I can kind of put it on and I'm just like, oh, I know right where I am. It's just nice to listen to. And again, Michael Kramer and Kate Redding do a great job. Michael Kramer's the voice of any of the male perspective characters, and Kate Redding is any of the female perspective characters, which is great because the chapters throughout the books are divided up between the characters. You know, you might have one that's through Perrin's point of view, or Matt, or Rand, or Moraine, or Nynaeve. It can come through anybody's point of view. And it's nice when you're in the audiobook because you can listen to it and you know immediately whether it's through one of the male or female characters' point of view. And speaking of female characters, I really think Eye of the World has some of the most fantastic female characters. So if there's ladies out there that are really, you know, like, oh, guys get all the good roles and this and that, man, sit back. There are some ass kickers in this for the ladies. But guys, there are for us too. There's so many fantastic characters. I think there's 1,500 like mainline characters through the course of the books. Like, holy cow. So you're going to have a few to choose from. We've got our top tiers of, I would say, probably half a dozen characters. I would say probably top tier, the pinnacle, half a dozen, probably 6 of them. And then it moves down to another tier that's almost equally as important, that probably moves into like another couple dozen. And then that pyramid just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as this goes on, different characters introduce other characters, and wow, it just it's 14 books, guys. You're going to meet new characters every book. So there's a lot of them, and it's just fantastic the way they're all so different. And you'll struggle to keep the names straight and pronunciations, but the lovely thing that Mr. Robert Jordan did for us is at the back of the books, there's a glossary and references with the way to pronunciate the names. And if you listen to the audiobooks, you'll get a much better pronunciation of the names, because a lot of us readers for years were like, how do you say it? Is it Edwin? Egwene? I don't know. I just say it in my head. I just read over it. Like Nynaeve, I thought that was a really funny nod in the show from Leandrin picking on Nynaeve's name when she, in episode 4, when she says, did I pronounce that right? That is a total nod to us readers that have just been like, I think I got it right. And you'll discuss the books with other people that have read it, and you'll say a name and they're like, what did you say? Like, I heard people call it Tar-Valon. I call it Tar-Valon. Aes Sedai. I did say Aes Sedai for a while. The A-E is an A. And I was corrected. By a purist. So it is Aes Sedai. But I did say Aes Sedai for a while, and I do slip every once in a while. But there's so many names and so many pronunciations, guys, that you'll make up your own. You'll have your own headcanon. Like, all these characters, they're just so great. You will 100% have your own headcanon. No matter what you see on screen, there'll be people that, well, maybe if you watch it first and then read it, you'll be influenced by the show a little more. But anybody that read it before the show, you have your own headcanon. Like Tom Maryland, Sam Elliott, baby. 100% Sam Elliott all the way. And yeah, well, we could go all day on who you can put where. But anyway, guys and ladies, if you are liking the show, I highly recommend that you take the time and don't rush yourself. Take your time, take it at your own pace. But you know how you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Well, I suppose not if you're a vegetarian or a vegan. Then you don't eat an elephant. But if you want to endeavor on the Wheel of Time, it is an epic journey. It's an epic read or an epic listen, but it is well worth it. And it is so extremely satisfying in so many ways. It's truly my favorite story I've ever read or ever written, ever written. I did not write it. And I can't say I was there, but I was there for the ride. And I'm very curious to see where the television show goes. I'm thoroughly enjoying it already. Changes in all. I understand it's got to be streamlined for TV. And you know what? We only have so much time. And guess what? There's never been a faithful adaptation to any book ever, no matter how hard they've tried. So you know what? Let's just sit back and relax. And with the show, the actors, for me, like, the settings are stunning. I think they're beautiful in every way. I think the sets are great. And some of the costumes, these things can be changed. But the actors' chemistry, 99.9% of these actors are just selling these roles for me. They may not be what I have as my headcanon. Again, Tom, he's Sam Elliott, but not in the show. But that aside, I think the show is pretty fantastic, and I think it's going to bring in an entire new era of new viewers. This is going to be a new turning of the Wheel of Time for new viewers. And those new viewers, if this excites you by the end of this season or you're sort of vested, I suggest that you pick up at least the first book, The Eye of the World, and give it a full shot and really see how they veered from the books. And it's not like, it's difficult to describe because especially with this last episode, episode 4, most of that episode was secondhand information that you get in the books. You get it through secondhand stuff. You never actually read it on the page. Some of the characters aren't actually there, and some of the events are drastically different. But it streamlined it in such a beautiful way to get these guys to Tar Valon. Okay, that's where their rally point is when everybody got separated. So this is sort of a way of streamlining it and introducing all these characters in a really engaging way for the new viewer. But I'll tell you, that last episode, even though it was so not from the books, it really, truly felt like the Wheel of Time. And the characters, all of these actors and actresses are really selling these roles. And if you do sit down and do decide to invest the time in reading those books, I think you'll be pretty happy with the portrayals of these actors. And sort of it's the small things. It's the little sidelong glances, the tones of voice, the looks. It's all pretty fantastic. And I think every one of these actors that are doing these roles really, truly have embodied it. And I think they really understand how beloved that these characters are to the readers. So regardless of the scenes that they're given or the direction that the creators of the show take, I really think that these guys are embodying the characters of the books, which to me is one of the most important things, because the thing that I was looking for mostly with the TV show, I've been let down with a lot of book to movie things, but I've also been very pleasantly surprised when I put the book back on the shelf and just accepted it for what it was. So I've been very pleasantly surprised, and I can't wait to see the journey that they go on. I can't wait to share it with all of you, new viewers, readers. I hope you take the time. I hope you enjoyed this this little sort of introduction. Somebody was asking me to do this, so I said, all right, man, I'll do a shortened video on it. But guys, I'm G. This is G on Watt. We'll see you next time.